Hi everyone, I'm Mike Damergis here with another episode of Iona Originals, and we have a very, very special guest today. This is a story that has tugged at the heartstrings of America. Pat Quinn, former rugby player, has been battling ALS. Last May, he came by Murphy Center. We did an interview with Pete Kelly here from the class of '94, and Pete told me his story of what Pat was going through. And what's happened since then has been simply incredible. Literally a landslide of support for ALS as the Ice Bucket Challenge not only swept across America, but really across the world. First off, I'd like to introduce everybody to Mr. Pat Quinn. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
First off, you have to be shocked at the amount of support that you've received over this last year.
Yeah, I mean, from the last time we met, a lot has happened. I mean, we started locally, Westchester area, came to Iona relatively early. Before you knew it, it was up in Boston, then the whole United States. Before you know it, was in every country, everywhere you could imagine, and people were talking about ALS, and that's what we originally wanted. It was all about creating awareness for a disease that didn't have any. And by doing that, we brought in real financial support. We brought in globally $220 million, which has started new research, supported families. There's so much happening because of what happened last summer. We're really making a difference here.
So you talk about that amount of money that's come across for ALS, and it kind of all started because you were a rugby player, and Pete Kelly, class of '94, also a rugby player, and of course Neil Hogan going into the Iona Rugby Hall of Fame on October 17th. But Pete, what drove you to really be the catalyst for Pat here?
Well, I appreciate that, Mike. Really, it's the Quinn for the Win group who started this all, and then I got word from another alumni. They were doing a sweatshirt drive for Pat, and I think the first event was going to be at Rory Dolan's. Again, it's always a bar.
Always the Irish, right?
I don't know how that happens, but so when I got the email, Mike, I was like, wow, this is heavy duty stuff, and I never met Pat, but again. And Hogan and I will talk about how we're still, very, very tight friends all from the rugby thing. So, I don't know. I went down to the event. It was a Sunday, and Hogan was there, and a bunch of younger guys were there too. And then I just drove home, and I said, I got to do more, whatever I can do. And then Pat and I had a few beverages on Good Friday at another bar in White Plains, and that's when the relationship just really took off. And he's fun to be with, and to me, the connection is Iona Rugby at the end of the day, because, like I said, I mean, it was funny. He was up at the house the other day, and we're looking at a photo from 2004. He was playing. Hogan and I were in a picture in the alumni game, so that's how old we are. But the point was, if one of your, whether you played with Pat or Hogan, one of your guys gets sick, you step up, and that's what we've done. But it's really been about Pat and the Quinn for the Win team, and I just try to, like I said the last time, just help bring additional awareness to it. That's it.
And Pat, the last time we spoke, you were engaged, and now you're married, and talk about the support that you get from your beautiful wife.
I am still married. Yeah, I mean, she's been my rock. She went to Iona, Masters as well, so she's the smart one, the good-looking one. I just hang on, and she keeps me going. It's our bond that we formed here at Iona somehow that connected us, and what she does for me is, there's no value to it, because it's my driving force, it's my momentum, it's everything to me. So I know she's somewhere around here, but she is everything that I focus on fighting for.
During crisis in life, people really show their true colors, and your wife's been there, and just met your dad a few minutes ago, shook my hand, almost broke my hand. They call him Big Pat.
Big boy.
talk about the support you get from your family, and it's hard on them too to see someone they love so much to go through what you're going through.
I mean, ALS is very tough, and it doesn't get easier. It only gets tougher. So since the last time we met, I've gotten weaker. My arms are very, very weak. My neck is very weak. Day-to-day activities are very difficult, so I no longer can just wake up and hang out by myself. My father comes over every morning to get me dressed, feed me. Pretty much anything you could imagine yourself doing in the morning, I need help to do. So my family has been there for me during the days. My wife, who works still full-time, I don't know how she keeps up with it all, but like I said, she's smarter than I am, so she's doing well. She comes home and helps me out at night. So it's tough, but it's all about finding that new normal. You can't just sit and dwell on what's tough. You have to look forward and fight it and figure out new ways to deal with it. The more you sit and do nothing, the worse it gets, and the less spirit you'll have, the less hope you'll have. But what we do every day is battle, and we attack this thing, and we talk to people, and that's why we're here. So anything we could do to get people to know what's going on and to rally the support is key.
Now, Neil, we have an event coming up on October 17th,
Yep.
The Hall of Fame. You're going to be there, obviously, and talk about how the Iona Rugby community has shown their support for Pat. And Pete also mentioned, what else can we do for Pat at this
Go ahead,
point?
Hoagie, and then I'll.
Well, like Pete said, I started playing rugby when I came to Iona. It's a game I never really heard of or was familiar with, and it kind of, it took over my life. It changed my life, and some of the closest friends I have to this day are from rugby. It's taken me around the world, places I never thought I'd see or go or do, and it actually kind of, Pete transferred in late in my college career, and he hung around for a couple of years after that, and we've been close friends ever since. When it came to Pat, in the first shindig they had at Roy Dolan's, Pete called me up and said, if you're not doing anything tomorrow, why don't you come down and lend your support? So I jumped in the car and met these guys down there, and it was like looking in a mirror. A lot of redheaded Irish people floating around, and it could have been me, it could have been my family. So it's been a pleasure to kind of get to know Pat, over the last number of months and years actually at this point, and whatever we can do to kind of help his story get out there and make a little bit more awareness. That's what we're trying to do.
And Pete, what can we do to further?
Well, I think
help
the
this cause?
best thing to do is go to the Quinn for the Win site. October 4th is your next event, right? At a bar, I might say. Spillane's in Mount Vernon, Patty? Is that
Yes.
right?
Oh.
And that's going to be fantastic because they got the entire place, so there's no excuse. I can't watch NFL. They got the entire place. It's going to be awesome. So then, Mike, that's the key. But then, really, quite frankly, what we're doing today is the case. We're going to take this video. We're going to send it to everyone we know in the community. But what Neil and I have decided is it's a huge honor for us to be inducted into the Iona Rugby Hall of Fame. It really is, because it's such a big part of our lives. But to me, it's all about the guy sitting next to me. And because there's a lot of people, believe it or not, Mike, who don't know this story, even though the Ice Bucket Challenge and all that good stuff. And so I'm just going to keep going, because when you talk to Pat, it's not about Pat. It's about Pat and doing whatever he can to find a cure for ALS. So to me, I'm going to fight for him, because he's the most unselfish human being I've ever met in my entire life. So October 17th will be a great one, October 4th, and then we just keep going. Because he'll tell you, I got some stupid, crazy ideas in my head. It's a matter of executing them. But we'll keep you posted. And if there's anywhere we can post anything or, do anything, that'd be great. So.
Pat, you look at this, you look at the support you're getting from Iona, and you've kind of, through this tragedy, had to travel the world and meet incredible people. Who's the most inspirational person you met during your travels as you battle ALS?
Wow, that's a good question, but I could think of the answer right away. To always it's never the celebrity, it's never the athlete or the musician, it's always the other ALS patients. I've met Steve Gleason, who played professional football. Guy can't move or breathe on his own, but he still gets up every morning and fights like an animal. I've met Pete Frates and become good friends with him. He's a Boston College guy, a key reason to why the Ice Bucket Challenge was so huge. And our connection has really changed the world in a way. And because of our friendship, I am beyond inspired by him. He can't move, breathe, do anything on his own. He's younger than me and can still send me Facebook messages and mess with me in a way. I won't use any other terms because
Were you going to drop the F-bomb?
no, no. I'm at Iona. I can't do
okay.
that. Come on. But no, I mean, it's the people that are out there fighting this disease that have fast progression, and it doesn't even matter progression. The disease is very tough, and anyone who's willing to put themselves out there, fight it publicly, make a difference is who I'm inspired by. There's so much change since last year because of the awareness created. Now people they're not hiding anymore. They're willing to put themselves out there, and it's changed everything. People are interested in our fight. They want to learn more, but there is so much more to do. It was really a great start to ending this disease, but I always like to say it was just a start. We have to keep going.
Well, Pat, you've certainly inspired the world. You've moved the world, and Iona's with you, and you have your friends here, and we've certainly learned something from you, and your strength is nothing less than incredible, and you're certainly an Iona original. So I want to thank you again. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Mike.
And thank
all
you,
you
Pat.
guys. Thanks so much.
I'm Mike Damergis for Iona Originals.